Hi everyone, welcome to this episode of Legally Brum. Today we are joined by Sam Holland, a partner at Gowling WLG in Birmingham. Sam is also the training principal for Gowlings.
Welcome, Sam.
Hello everybody.
In this episode, we'll be asking Sam questions that are likely to come up in training contract assessment days, and she'll be providing responses on how she would like potential recruits to answer those questions. So the first standard question that always comes up is, why have you picked law?
What you can sometimes get is a relatively sort of stock answer that really could apply to anybody. What I really would like to see from candidates is some thought around, what is involved in a legal career, what are the threats and opportunities there are in a legal career, and why those in particular are something the candidate is really interested in pursuing as a career. So give me a sort of an answer explaining why you personally are interested in a career in law, and then use that as an opportunity to explain why you have the qualities that would make a good lawyer.
See, I think it's even harder when you're a non-law student to justify it.
But what you can still do is have a read around the topic. You can look at what firms are up to. You can feel for what you think would be involved in a legal career. What I'm looking for is people showing that they have the skills to be a good lawyer. That doesn't have to be a skill that they've developed doing a law degree or legal studies. They can have developed those skills, and often they will have developed those skills doing something completely different from law.
Also, I guess when you convert your law degree, more costly, and you're more likely to have really thought about it, because
that's true.
You've spent 3 years doing a degree, and then you're going to spend another year doing another degree to convert it, and then your RPC.
I think certainly for Gowlings, we're not looking for kind of cookie cutter candidates. I mean, obviously we do have candidates who've just done a law degree, done some legal work experience, and then sort of come straight through the process. And I don't have anything against that. But that, we're not just looking for those people. We're looking for people who've done other stuff as well.
What kind of answer do you expect from a candidate when you ask something like, what makes Gowlings different from other firms in Birmingham?
One of the things that's really obvious to us when we're looking through those responses are where a candidate has applied to perhaps 20 or 30 similar commercial firms, and they are really just cutting and pasting their response. What really stands out for us is if somebody has done some proper research into the firm, found out about what we've been up to over the last sort of 2 to 3 years, got a feel for what our priorities might be for the next 2 to 3 years. All of that information is generally quite accessible. If you look on our website, if you do some sort of searches within the legal press for some of the articles that we've been putting out, some of the press releases that we've been putting out, and really can show that you've put some genuine thought into what it is about our firm that makes you want to work with us. And again, go back to why you think you're a good fit for our firm. So use every answer really as an opportunity to sell yourself as well.
On application forms, some people, when they're looking, when they're researching a firm, they'll put the most recent news piece available on that website, on the firm's website, and pop that into their application. Would you be able to recognise that?
I think you can tell the difference. What really makes somebody stand out is the application of that information. So not just saying, I can see you've been up to this, but I can see you've been up to this, and this really appeals to me because of X, Y, and Z, and this is a firm I want to work for because of these reasons. If you do a bit of research, you can see some of the work we've been doing, for example, in driverless cars. We have quite a lot of white papers that we put out where we do some blue sky thinking around things like smart cities, driverless cars, blockchain. So there is a lot of material out there that you can read into, and that will give you a really good feel for some of our priorities as a firm and some of the sort of innovations that we think will be important in the future.
In the application, it asks why this firm, and then you can do, use what you've just said. And how does that translate into the interview stage and the assessment day? How do you test their knowledge of the firm in those stages of the application?
I can't give too much away about that because obviously I signed, I'm sworn to secrecy about some of the stuff that we do on our assessment days. But suffice to say that there is a part of our assessment day where the candidates are sort of roundly tested on their knowledge of the firm. It's sort of role playing and sort of thinking about how you might sell the firm. It does require you to have a knowledge about what makes us different, why the candidate thinks a client ought to come to us, what we can offer clients.
So as As the only non-Gowling person at this table, why do you enjoy working at Gowling? Both of you.
Do you want me to take that one first?
Yeah, you go first.
So I've been with Gowling for 18 years. I mean, it's changed a huge amount in the last 18 years. You know, we're now sort of an international sector focused law firm. The work that I'm doing is really exciting and interesting and challenging. And so that's obviously one of the reasons why I stay. The other big reason is because I really love the culture here. The people here are what has kept me here. So whilst we've become more international, whilst the work has become really interesting and dynamic, I still feel we've kept some of the culture that was here when I joined back in 2000. And, you know, I've been through lots of ups and downs in my life in the last 18 years. And throughout it all, I've always felt that I've had the support of my team and the firm, and I've really enjoyed working with the people.
I just like the culture of the firm. I think they really invest in the junior members of staff. So obviously for associates, they have the Launchpad programme. That's really good in terms of networking with your colleagues that are at the same level as you. And it also encourages, as a firm, they encourage you to kind of pursue your ideas. Like, you know, they let me do Legally Brum and things like that. So it's really supportive. The work's amazing. Clients are amazing. What kind of response would you expect from a candidate to a question like, where do you see Gowlings in 5 to 10 years?
So I think if I was going to answer that question myself, I would probably look at international growth. So obviously mindful that we had the combination a couple of years ago now with Canada, and so we have offices in a number of different jurisdictions around the globe. So perhaps thinking about where might Gowling expand to next, because there is no doubt that we will grow internationally. I think one of the biggest threats, opportunities for the legal sector is in tech, both in terms of providing support and advice to our clients who are having tech impacting on their own businesses. So what sort of product areas might we move into? How will tech affect our business? You know, how might we change the way in which we deliver advice and support to clients through the use of legal tech, the use of AI, you know, smart contracts, chatbots. There's lots of different things coming up that probably I know nothing about and you know all about. And maybe also a little bit of thought around, you know, how is the role of the lawyer changing? Because I think we're moving away from somebody who just delivers technical legal advice into more of a advisory role, looking at clients' businesses in the round, spotting opportunities for clients, putting them in touch with other clients where there might be opportunities for both of them. So perhaps thinking about, will there be other kind of work streams other than your legal practice groups?
In terms of students and aspiring lawyers now that haven't actually secured a training contract yet, how do you think they can equip themselves to be this 21st century lawyer?
They need to be commercially aware. Do you need to have an idea about what's going on in the world? You need to be keeping an eye on technology. You need to be keeping an eye on, you know, the political situation across the world, and not only be aware of it but also have some thoughts around it. So what's their perspective on it? What do they think the implications of that will be? So you do need to be quite well read. It's about being a great communicator, being able to talk to lots of different people from different backgrounds, different levels. It's about obviously being technically really good at whatever you do choose to do, and it's about thinking a little bit outside the box. Now those skills you can get in lots of different ways. So what I'm looking for is for candidates to demonstrate, for example, they're great at communication, but they don't have to show me that they're doing that in a legal context. I think it's important at a very early stage that you do what you love. As I was saying earlier, a lot of the candidates that I've interviewed that have really sort of stood out for me have done something which is not related to the law in any way at all, but they've still been able to use that to show me how they've developed skills which would then be great for somebody in the law. And often those skills are suited to a more 21st lawyer because they will have picked up skills around sort of business acumen. They've had to be innovative, they've problem solved, they've had to talk to lots of different people. Do what you love. Don't feel too constrained, but do kind of keep an eye on what's going on in the world as well. Don't just be in your own little bubble completely.
So can you tell us a fun fact about Gowling?
Apart from the fact we have some really great annual parties. Again, one of the reasons why I've stayed with the firm for the last 20 years. One of the interesting initiatives that we've had recently, the Gowling Reward Token, which is on the blockchain and is available to all staff. So when it was launched, this particular scheme, every member of staff were given 2 Gowling Reward tokens. The partners have been given 100 each, and they are redeemable against a hot drink in our cafe. And our restaurant on the top floor in Birmingham is absolutely amazing.
It is.
I've heard.
They do amazing Mars bar cakes. Unfortunately, you can't buy those with a Gowling Reward token. But the Gowling Reward tokens are really there to encourage people to say thank you to other members of staff. So if they've done a great job, you would send them a Gowling Reward token on the blockchain, a bit like a cryptocurrency, and then they can go and then get a hot drink with it, and the partners obviously can use it to say, really good, really good job, well done. So it's a really, really nice way of saying thank you to people, but it's also a really good way of getting people a little bit more familiar with, what is the blockchain, what are cryptocurrencies, how might that affect me in my day-to-day life, really across the entire firm. So I think that's quite a nice initiative.
That's awesome,
and
So are you from Birmingham? Did you train in Birmingham?
I didn't train in Birmingham. So I grew up in the Midlands. I ended up going to university in Bristol. I've had a bit of a checkered career, it's fair to say, to get to qualification. So if there's anybody out there who is struggling, who are going to interviews and they're not getting anywhere, who don't give up hope, that's not an unfamiliar story. When I got to law school, there was a fair proportion of people there actually who didn't have training contracts. And I spent 2 years working on a public inquiry up in North Wales, and whilst I was on there I got my training contract in Bristol, and then I moved back up to the Midlands on qualification, because I've always been a Midlands girl at heart, to be honest. I absolutely love it here. I do go down to London a day a week, but I really am a Midlands girl at heart. I think it's an amazing city. The change in the city in the last 18 years has been incredible, and the plans that we have coming up for the future, it's just going to be an amazing place to be.
I was going to ask actually, if you had to pitch Birmingham to people watching, what would you say? But I guess you've kind of already said it.
Well, I think if I had to pitch Birmingham, we have really interesting work. We're doing lots of international work, lots of national work. It's a great city, it's got a good vibe. We've got everything from Michelin star restaurants through to the CBSO, through to ballet, theatre, some great, I'm too old to go to them now, but some great clubs and bars. So it's a really vibrant place. I feel with Birmingham, it doesn't ever feel as though you're too far away from something, whereas in London I think it's a bit more of a trek to get from A to B and to meet up with friends. House prices are better, get better quality of life. So I can't think of any reason why you wouldn't want to live in Birmingham, to be honest.
Thank you, Sam, for joining us today. It's been great interviewing you.
You're very welcome. It's been a pleasure.
And do you have any final thoughts before we end the interview today?
If I had one final thought, it would be not to be afraid at an early stage of your career of asking for advice. So throughout my career, mentoring has been really crucial to me. Speaking to peers and people in all different levels within the organisation has really helped me then sort of focus my priorities, challenged me a little bit, and helped me along my way. So I think when I look back at when I was, a student, I was a bit too scared to talk to anybody. And actually now, when I'm in the position of being a partner, I find it really flattering when somebody reaches out to me and says, do you mind if I could grab 15 minutes of your time and just, talk about where my career is going? So don't be afraid to reach out to people. Do use mentoring. I think it's a really helpful way of progressing your career.
Thank you. That's good too.
Thank you very much, guys, for having me on, and good luck to everybody out there who is applying for a training contract. Hopefully you liked this video.
And comment on it, obviously. Please.
And subscribe to our channel.